Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Esquire Coaching Radio, where we help attorneys achieve unparalleled personal and professional success. And now here's your host, Ann Jeanette Thomas.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this evening's episode of Esquire Coaching Radio. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you tonight. We are here based out of the East Coast, out of Delaware. And it's a little dark now that daylight savings time has ended, so I'm not ready for that. But as you know, Esquire Coaching is a national coaching and consulting firm that is dedicated to helping attorneys achieve extraordinary whole life success. To that end, we discuss the full range of topics from business building to getting a job to work-life balance and everything in between. Today, we have an awesome guest who is going to talk to us about building your law practice using social media. Now, this is going to be a two-part interview series. Have you been curious about building your law practice using social media but feel overwhelmed? Well, we are here to save the day. Today, we have Esquire Coach's very own social media expert, Deanna Bachman, who will review what social media is, why it's important for growing today's legal practice, how lawyers can use it to build their business, and also we're going to discuss, not on tonight's call, but next week, some special considerations lawyers must keep in mind when using social media. So let me introduce Deanna. Deanna specializes in helping our clients develop sound, ethical marketing campaigns that utilize all forms of social media, including blogging, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. She has brought her marketing insight to a variety of companies in the nonprofit, public, and private sectors. She also serves as a co-organizer of the Arts Tech Meetup Group in New York City and has served on the board of one of my other companies, Ann Thomas Coaching and Consulting, since January 2012. She is proud to be a Terrier, having received her Bachelor of Science in Communications from Boston University. And let me just tell you, she is a brilliant social media strategist. She is here on our team. She helps us with our efforts at Esquire Coaching, and it's a real honor to welcome Deanna. Welcome, Deanna.
Hello, and I just want to say thank you so much for having me on the show tonight.
Oh, really? Our guests are the lucky ones. I'm lucky too. So before I dive into the questions, I just want to remind our callers that there will be time at the end of our call to ask Deanna questions. So all you have to do is call 347-838-8719 and press 1 to get in queue. But we reserve that towards the end of this call. All right. So, Deanna, let's dive right in. What is social media as it pertains to business?
Great. So I usually like to start off explaining social media by saying what social media is not, because I feel as though people often have a lot of misconceptions when they hear social media. So a few things that social media is not. It is not scary. It's not new by any means. The same best practices that you use for social media have been in place for business for years. It's not overwhelming if you know how to do it, and it shouldn't be significantly time-consuming if you do it properly. I think a lot of fears that people have is that it will take up a lot of their time, but when done properly and strategically, it really shouldn't be that time-consuming. It is social media. Social media is a few different things. It's an opportunity to open up a two-way communication between yourself, the business, and your clients, both your existing clients, your potential clients, or a new audience. It's really just a form of having a two-way conversation. And this is a business practice that has been in place for years. Back when you had a brick-and-mortar office on Main Street and you knew your customers and you knew the people who lived in your neighborhood, it's really the same concept brought into the 21st century using these new platforms. And then social media is also an opportunity to establish yourself, your business, your employees as thought leaders in your industry. So by sharing useful and interesting information, you can establish yourself essentially as someone who really genuinely knows what they're doing. And that's immensely appreciative. Both your clients appreciate that, and it's a great opportunity to bring in new business because people can see before they go in that you genuinely do know what you're doing. So logistically, I like to break down social media into two different concepts. There's content, the information that you share, and then there's how it's distributed. So the content sort of comes based on the types of media. So you can have long-form written content, it can be short-form written content, that would be in the form of blog posts or short tweets or links to interesting articles. You can have audio content, essentially what we're doing right now with the radio show. This can be considered audio content. And then there's audio-visual content, which are really just videos. And lastly, photos, which are a great thing to share to sort of give the people a behind-the-scenes view of your business. And then there's how you distribute that content. So those are the platforms that you can utilize, whether that's Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or YouTube. And some platforms allow you to distribute a variety of content. So you can share any type of content on Facebook, whereas YouTube, for example, is really just focused on audio-visual content, sharing videos. And it varies from platform to platform. So in a nutshell, that is what I would say social media is. And we can go more in depth, but I think that's a good basic introduction.
What I love about what you just shared is that, you know, you make it very accessible. You know, this is about having a two-way communication. I thought that was such a brilliant statement. You mentioned that part of social media is the distribution, that there are these different platforms. Could you describe the top platforms that most businesses use?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So there are numerous social media platforms. I'll go into basically what I would call the top three. And those would be Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Now, when we're talking about Facebook, we're not talking about a personal page where you share personal information with your friends and family. On Facebook, you would be establishing a business page that people can then like rather than friending. And that's where all of the information about your business should reside. And Facebook is a really versatile platform. There are over 1 billion users on it now. So essentially, you can assume a vast majority of your audience most likely utilizes Facebook. And it allows you to distribute all different kinds of Twitter is another platform, and it's called a micro-blogging platform, which essentially means that it's just very short bits of information. So you get 140 characters with each what's called a tweet that you send out, and that can include text, but you can also embed photos, and you can embed links to other information. So it's just very quick, short bursts of information. And then LinkedIn, I think, is really an important focus for lawyers specifically because it's a much more business-focused platform. And on there you can, again, it's divided up into different types of profiles. So you'd have your personal profile where you personally, as Ann Jenner Thomas, for example, connect with other people. And you can also have a page for your business overall. So Esquire Coaching, for example, has a business page on LinkedIn. And it's a really great opportunity to connect with people, especially on a B2B basis.
Can you explain what B2B means, just
sure.
So our audience knows?
Great, not a problem. B2B just means business to business.
I think this is really important. And, you know, Brianna, you have shared internally some of the nuances about the tone that a business owner should use as they approach each of these platforms. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So tone is very important when you're communicating information because you want your message to be heard and understood by the people who are seeing or listening to it. So what you want to do is speak in simple terms that people can understand and that conveys the information that you need to. So you have to think that you're talking essentially to your client, which is different than the language you'd be using in talking to other lawyers. So you want to avoid using a lot of jargon. You don't want to use such legalese. You want to simplify it and clarify it for your general audience to understand. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, this is great. And I think also, I remember you talking to us internally about how LinkedIn tends to have a little bit more formal tone to it. Twitter tends to have a little bit less of a formal tone. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, LinkedIn is much more business focused. So you definitely want to use a more formal tone with that platform. Twitter is interesting, especially in that you are restricted to the 140 characters. So you'll oftentimes see a lot of acronyms, a lot of shortened words. You want to be sort of short and picky when you're using that. And it is certainly a more informal platform.
Okay, that's great. Now, this is particularly important for all of the attorneys that are out here listening to this. Know where your prospective client base resides. If you are, for example, a trust and estates attorney, Facebook is probably going to be a better match for you to get your clients than LinkedIn. If you are a corporate attorney, LinkedIn might be a better match for you to get your clients than Facebook, for example, because each platform really resonates with a different audience. And if you tend to have a client base that is more regular folks, for lack of a better term, then I think Facebook and Twitter might be a better bet. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And that harkens back to my previous point about B2B. So if you're a law practice that's really focused on working with other businesses, LinkedIn might be a better platform for you where your clients are most likely to be. If you work with consumers, chances are most of your audience is on Facebook and uses Facebook. And it's a great opportunity to connect with them, especially considering that both platforms do allow you to run very targeted advertising. So if you know who your clients and potential clients are, you have a great chance of connecting with them. And
great point.
The one thing you can always do, and I always encourage every business to do when they're starting out on social media, is just talk to your customers. Ask them what platforms on, what sort of information they would appreciate receiving from you, and get some input from the people that you work with, and then you'll have a better understanding of how to proceed.
Love that. I love that. Yes, we need to ask our clients, where are they? That's good. So, okay,
yeah,
this
I always
might be,
like to say it never hurts to ask.
That's true. That's true. Now, this might be, I don't know, an obvious answer from you, but I still have to ask. Do you think that it's important for lawyers to be on social media? And if so, why?
I think social media is definitely key for lawyers and law practices. And I think there's a few different points to that. One is, as I mentioned before, you want to establish yourself as someone who knows their stuff. And it really allows you the opportunity to show both your existing clients that you're a valued resource for them, and you can be the go-to for them when they need information in your area of expertise. And it also allows you to sort of establish your knowledge base with potential clients. And it's significantly easier to acquire potential clients if they know already, without even coming in and talking to you, that you know what you're doing and that you are friendly and knowledgeable and willing to work with them. And as I mentioned, it opens up that two-way communication that from a customer perspective, whether you're working with other businesses or consumers, is really, really key when they're making their decision about whether they want to work with you or whether they want to work with your competition. I think it really gives you that edge on the competition.
That is such a great point. Not only the edge on the competition, but I think you hit on something extremely important that I think many lawyers do take for granted, and that is our clients need to like us. They need to like us in order to trust us and be willing to pay for our services. Long gone are the days when just merely stating that you were an attorney and this whole, illusion of the separation between client and attorney existed, and there was a big facade. Nowadays, we have, just like with what we're seeing with the medical profession, clients are savvier. They are looking online. They are Googling something before they come and see you. They need to connect with you before they decide to buy. So this is a really great point. Now let's talk a little bit about not making things willy-nilly, but instead really being able to be part of a strategy. And in fact, during a recent internal strategy call that we had at Esquire, you educated our staff about what I call the AIA of social media strategy. Can you tell our audience a little bit about that?
Sure. So AIA is really a concept not only for social media, but it comes from essential PR, public relations, and marketing practices. And what AIA is, it stands for awareness, interest, and action. And it's essentially a three-step process that you go through with your marketing. And sometimes they happen in that order, sometimes they're happening simultaneously. So the first one is awareness, which is key. You need to be, your clients need to know that you exist. They can't call you, they can't hire you if they don't know that you exist. So that's really the first thing that you want to establish with your social media marketing and all of your marketing practices, which is essentially just getting your name out there to your potential clients. And then you need to get them interested, which is the second step. And you get sort of increasingly and more involved. But once they know that you exist and they know that you're there, you need to get them interested. You need to get them wanting to learn more about you, about your services, about what you have to offer. And then the last step is really the key. You need to get them to take action. So that would be calling you, inquiring about your services, hiring you, etc. That is really where the getting them in the door and getting their business comes in.
This is so brilliant. I loved it when you shared this with us internally because I think it really streamlines the process. It makes it clear-cut. You want to build awareness, you want to get them interested in you, and you want to have them take action, which is ultimately reach out and retain you, hire you. So now can you talk to our listeners a little bit about how does a law firm or a law practice or a lawyer start thinking about and creating a social media strategy?
Absolutely. So a social media strategy works best, and it really works most effectively when it is part of a larger strategy. So it's not just a standalone task, and it needs to be integrated within the rest of the business. So this, again, is sort of a three-tier process. The first step is you need to establish and understand what your overall business goals are. So what are your goals for your business in the next month, the next quarter, the next fiscal year? You need to have a clear-cut understanding of what you want for the business in the near and far future. And then the next step under that umbrella of business objectives is what are your marketing goals? What are you doing with your overall marketing efforts that will help you accomplish those business goals? And the marketing involves not only social media, but also direct marketing, advertising. Any of your efforts to promote your business can fall under that umbrella. And then once you have your marketing goals established that are helping you achieve your business goals, you could break that down and figure out how these social media platforms and how this content you're sharing can help you accomplish those marketing goals, and figure out maybe which platforms are best, what to share on those platforms, what kind of information, what type of content, what messages you're trying to convey to your customers and your potential customers.
Oh, this is brilliant. It's got to be part of an organized strategy. Remember, folks, what Deanna was saying earlier, that when done the right way, it's not overwhelming. It's not as time-consuming. And I think that really, what you're talking about now, about having a cohesive strategy, is part of what makes this whole process not overwhelming. Is that a fair assessment, Deanna?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So I just want to take a moment to remind our audience that if you want to talk to Deanna now and have a question for her, call 347-838-8719. That's 347-838-8719, and press 1 so you can be in the queue. Now, meanwhile, I want to just tie back to something that I think is very important. I know that Deanna is covering a lot of information, and of course, we're giving you so much to be able to help you implement this on your own. But we at Esquire Coaching are available to support you in developing your social media strategy and implementing it. And in fact, we have a number of resources that can assist. So you're not alone. I think I just want to make that clear. Now, what mistakes, Deanna, do you see lawyers make when they're writing for social media or for a blog?
Yeah, there's a few key mistakes that I think are easy to fix, but they're important to understand. When you're writing for social media, like I said earlier, you're writing for a lay audience. So you're writing for your customers. And it's different than if you're writing a legal brief, for example. The language is different, and more importantly, the length is different. So as we all, I'm sure, are well aware, everyone's attention span is getting shorter. And a lot of these social media platforms are designed for short-form content. So what you need to be able to do, and what I see a lot of lawyers struggling with, is making things short and concise as possible while still conveying the message that you need to. So you're not writing a novel, even if it's a blog post, which in social media is considered long-form content. You want to keep it short, you want to keep it to the point, and you want to be able to convey your point without having to write an entire legal brief.
I love that. Short and to the point, and I think also want to tie back in what you had said earlier, which is avoiding jargon, avoid the legalese, make it something that is accessible to your prospects, your primary client base.
Absolutely. So a great way of thinking about it is think of the people in your life who may not necessarily be familiar with your specific area of expertise. And you want to phrase it in a way that your mother would understand, that your grandmother would understand, maybe your teenage children would understand. So think of, you can really use the people in your life and figure out how you can phrase something so that they can understand. And chances are your clients will be able to understand the message you're trying to give them.
Beautiful. I love that. So practical, and one of our earlier shows, we talked about the art of captivation, and part of what Kimberly Fernandez, who's also on Esquire's team, mentioned is that, to avoid jargon, to really even consider reading or stating what you've written to a younger audience just to see if they get it. If they can understand it, then chances are you've written it clearly and concisely enough that it would span across all generations. Okay, so I know that many attorneys are on Facebook. They have a personal page, and I see that people know how to use that pretty well. But what if your client tries to friend you not your business page, but friend you personally on Facebook, what advice do you have for them?
Yes. So this is definitely something that a lot of business owners run into, where there is a distinction between their personal lives and their business lives. And I know a lot of people are on Facebook to share information with only their friends and family, and not necessarily their clients. So you have a few options when this comes up. You can deny the request. So if someone requests to be your friend on Facebook, it does not necessarily mean that you have to accept that request. What I would suggest is, if you don't think that it's appropriate to friend your client, which oftentimes it is not, you can simply send them a kind message saying, "Thank you so much for connecting," and then direct them to your business page and give them a reason to go to the business page. So explain to them that this is really where I'm here to connect with my friends and family, but I encourage you to like our business page where we share useful information about the business, things that could pertain to you. And you can even write sort of a template message that you can then customize for each person. So essentially, what you want to do is sort of deny the request, but deny it nicely and direct them to your business page, which is probably they may not have even known that it was there. And give them a good resource. It's a great place to connect with business, and they're going to get a lot of great information from it.
That's a great point. And in fact, you know, one of the strategies that we always recommend for our clients is for your page, your business page on Facebook or LinkedIn, have an incentive so people want to join, like a free white paper, a free download, something that, you know, it's not legal advice, obviously, because we can't do that, but something that is informative and relevant to your target market. And in doing so, you can capture their information for other times that you might need to reach out to them. So overall, that's a really great strategy.
And the great thing about, the great thing about Facebook fan, or when someone likes your page, is that is essentially considered a lifetime fan. So they will be on your page and they'll be receiving your updates consistently, week in, week out, month in, month out. So it's a chance to connect with them at that moment when they like the page. So you'll also be reconnecting with them each time that you post a new update.
Oh, that's great. And that really goes back to what we're talking about getting your prospective client base to know you, to like you, to trust you. And part of that means you have to be top of mind. So I think you've given some really great tips today, sharing, you know, not only how to be thoughtful, how to create a strategy, and really how to best utilize the different platforms that are out there. So, Deanna, you're going to be joining us again next week, and what we're going to be focusing on next week will be more around the content, you know, really helping our audience learn about, you know, how to write good articles, blog articles, posts, etc., things of that nature. And we want to hear any questions that you might have. So feel free to email us at info@esquirecoaching.com. That's info@esquirecoaching.com. Send us your questions, and we will read them on the air and make sure that Deanna can answer them for you thoroughly. And also, we invite you to join us on Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. All of our links are available right on our website. That's www.esquirecoaching.com. And join the conversation. You know, this is a really important topic, and social media can be very confusing. So come join the conversation in any of these places with us. Deanna, any final words or tips that you want to offer our audience?
First of all, again, I'd like to say thank you so much for having me tonight. And in terms of tips for the audience, I think just start slow to your customers, figure out where they are, where they're talking, and connect with them.
Brilliant. Brilliant. You are awesome. I can't wait to continue this conversation next week. So thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we will talk to you next Wednesday. Bye.